15. Still able to have solid control in that mid lane and just find impact on sides. And again, ever since her like slight rework, even her damage in the late game is just insane coming out from those boulders, but gives over the Wukong to the side of TT. And honestly, wouldn't be surprised to see them even just opt into going towards something like an Aphelios again. They've gone towards it consistently, but after Ucal picking up the MVP, just gonna go back towards that Sylas.
Yeah, Sylas has been one of his best picks of the entire split. No surprises here to see him go for that Sylas. The only surprise to me in terms of this Sylas being locked in again for Ucal is just that all of that sustain got nerfed, right? The fact that laning is going to be so much harder, especially against a Taliyah that will be able to win out the early stages of the lane anyway. Could be a tough one for Ucal. Over to the side of LGD though, hovering the Senna. Tahm, Kench available as well. You do want to get the pair locked in together, but Eric and JinJiao playing the slow game down in that bottom side.
Yeah, so going to play a lot more to enable their top half of the map. So should set up for, you know, Stain and Bruisers coming out on the top side for LGD to run in, and then just Senna continue to look to all in on them. Not going to be the Gwen, though, if they did want, you know, a sustained Bruiser up in that top side, because TT will take that one away. And TT, once again, coming out with some incredibly strong soul laners, will leave themselves getting pinched in that bot lane. But when you're up against Senna, Tahm, Kench, I don't think it should be too punishing if they do have to go further down that pool. But I'd say shouldn't expect your hands on, you know, high-tier AD carries, maybe like things like the Aphelios that we've been seeing TT pick every game of the series so far.
No, shouldn't expect that to go through. But then again, we've seen crazier things happen. The Trundle being banned away by Beichuan here, not wanting to go against Shadow's Trundle. So the Viego gone, the Trundle gone, the Poppy gone. I feel like we're getting to the point where champion pools in that jungle role are going to be challenged. Yuumi taken off of the board here. And it does mean that, you know, either Aphelios or Jinx would be available for Kepler if he wants to go in that direction. Maybe a little bit more Ezreal like we saw earlier on from Eric. I mean, that looked pretty terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, Ezreal still being open, you already highlighted the others. It feels like for TT, they have a plethora of options. LGD are the ones I'm more concerned about now with the pinch in the jungle pool. I mean, we still have Lee Sin available, the Volibear's there, Vi, which is something we still see every now and then. But for TT, not really too many things you have to worry about locking down in my mind. But also not a ton of great setup in terms of, like, if they did want to go towards some type of Lee Sin-esque pick to be able to shut down early with the lanes that they have so far. That is the hover right now, and it is Shadow who did make his name for himself on this Lee Sin.
Yeah, and crucially, like when you think back through Shadow's career, back in the LEC, this guy was the guy that he was the Smurf Lee Sin in LEC. People said that he was the LPL Lee Sin in LEC. Then he came over to LPL and showed that his Lee Sin can stand up to some of the best junglers. It's comfortably one of his best champions and always looks good mechanically on the pick. We'll see if that's going to work out for them, as Fearness might just go for the Akali himself, one in the opposite side of that matchup. But the Gnar, despite the nerfs, could be a lock-in as well.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to go for that one and just bring some solid team fighting on the board. Now we're going to see what the response comes from the side of TT. But hitting on Gnar, I mean, Exchange is just getting hit in terms of base HP and just regen per level. So again, just overall kind of durability in that early game being hit, allowing for TT to target Fearness up in that top side if they'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. A nice little lock-in here. With the, I'm honestly, I feel like any Sivir composition I really like right now. I think Sivir's just such an incredibly strong champion. The Wukong there to set it up as well. It feels like a very scrappy team on the side of TT. Whereas LGD, I feel like much more standard of what we've seen over the course of this split, right? With the Taliyah in the mid lane, Gnar up top. You got the Senna, Tahm, Kench. A fairly slow composition. A lot of this is going to be down to Yeji and Shadow to get things rolling.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to mid-jungle getting things rolling, and then later on, you kind of want to, like, kite out with Taliyah and Senna and then look for a re-engage. But, I mean, you're up against a Sivir surrounded by so much all-in. I think it's going to be really hard. TT should be able to dictate the pace of the game and, like, when fights happen if we go to mid-game in a neutral point. Because you look at that 5v5, it is so incredibly strong.
It's going to be a tough 5v5, that is for sure. I'm excited to see this game number 3, though, right? We've had both teams winning a very handed game. Do you feel like there's a massive advantage in the draft, one side or the other. I'm kind of leaning towards TT myself, but I'm curious which side you're leaning towards.
I definitely like what TT's put together because, again, I feel like if we go into mid-game, that TT should be able to find and engage pretty much whenever they please.
For this one, usually onto the Rift by now. And I'm curious, oh, here we go. The light show begins. We're going to head on, or the dark show begins, apparently. TT vs LGD, game number 3. And the players are onto the map here. Standard level 1 start. No shenanigans. This nerfed Gnar up in the top side. Really curious what LGD... I just want to see the proactivity again from LGD, right? I want to see them making things happen in that early game, like we saw in game 1.
Yeah, and I think TT definitely have the tools to be able to do so. There were some other changes to other champions that we didn't really hit on because of how small they were. Sivir actually came into this patch and got a small nerf. Your Ricochet does less damage to minions now than it did before. They did give it like a small execute in case minions end up on like 15 HP, just like every other champion has these days. But took a bit of a hit. Wukong as well. The regen on his passive got hit by a little bit, but both those changes so small, we can still see throughout today, right? We're seeing a ton of Sivir, seeing a ton of Wukong, and even Gnar. Kind of rearing his heads throughout the bans so far today.
Yeah, Gnar definitely been it's a surprising priority considering the nerf. I was thinking he would just fall out of the game, to be honest, because that's often the way in the LPL. We'll see a nerf happen to a champion.
They see 40 HP gone, and they're like, no more.
Never ever play this champion again. Fearness though, not gonna give up on Gnar just yet, and we've been seeing. The same with like things like the Sylas, I thought might kind of fall out of the meta a bit as well with the sustain nerfs because he does rely on that corrupting potion so heavily. And I expected more of things like the Azir. Obviously, Azir being banned away every single game so far in this series. So perhaps these, it's the first series of the patch. Plenty of time to discover what will happen, but very similar so far to 12-13.
I also think, right, even though there was a lot of changes on this patch, a lot of them were small. Like, even the Gnar one, right? He lost 40 base HP and lost a little bit of his, like, HP regen per level. So, not anything massive in terms of, like, these champions can't be played or even, like, the nerfs to, like, potions and some of the runes. But definitely making it more punishing if you make a mistake. Especially once you're going up against, again, people like the Shy or people like Rookie who might be able to abuse you with how strong their laning prowess is, or if they do get like an insane counter matchup against one of these champions that took a slight nerf. So I definitely think we'll see bits of impact, but I don't think anything really being taken off the table, except, I mean, things like the GP maybe taking a bit of a bigger change in terms of how the patches hit him. But like you said, only the first series coming out so far. I definitely still think we've hit on Neela a little bit throughout the day. That's the one I'm most curious about, if we will get her showing her head in the LPL at all this week.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I really hope so. I feel like we needed OMG to play today, because Abel 100% is a Neela player.
That sounds like an Abel champion. Yeah,
like you can just imagine him going in already so aggressive on that champion. Yet to see it today, yet to see it even banned, but maybe in the second series. Okay, we've got Neela-esque gameplay down to the bottom lane as we head back to live here. Good little bit of trading coming out from Eric and JinJiao. Obviously, tons of sustain in that Senna Tahm Kench lane, but good poke coming out from Kepler, actually.
Especially when you do have that range advantage coming through for the side of LGD. They feel fine going for these trades, but I mean, this is a bot lane that you definitely expect, like, hey, shouldn't really be 2v2 kills coming through unless one side really over-aggresses onto the other one. I think a lot of the action should be coming out through mid-jungle, especially when you draft something like Lee Sin. You have that Taliyah trying to find the setup. Even a pressure gank into mid, I think, would be fine. And then, I mean, TT, they actually have CC coming out from both their jungle and their mid laner. So if Yeji pushes up the wave, it could just set up a very easy gank for the side of TT. And Beichuan, he's been bloodthirsty this series. We didn't get to see it in game 1 because he got shut out at level 1. But in game 2, we saw he wants to make action happen.
Yeah, he was very willing to start plays on that Poppy. Now on the Wukong, look at this creative pathing from Beichuan. We've seen this from a few junglers on the Wukong, denying the vision control in that river from the early ward. He's going to move into the lane. JinJiao, Eric already flashing away from this one, but just collapsed upon. Will go down here. And Kepler not going for the last auto, actually forced a flash out from Beichuan. think Kepler turning around a little too soon on that one. Bit dicey for TT, but still first blood.
Kepler not able to find the last auto, and Kepler not wanting to utilize his flash himself. Instead, just Beichuan opting to do that, which feels like the right call. And now LGD going to look for a play on the opposite side of the Rift. I mean, XiaXiang's been chunked a little bit, but I feel like this would be a little bit risky to go for so far. But with Yeji moving up on the mini-map, maybe possible.
Really nice from Shadow there. Saw the ward getting placed, was still in the brush, goes for a ward hop to try and circumvent it, but deciding it's not a play they can go for the time being, and so they'll have to back away. So XiaXiang keeps himself safe with that little bit of vision. And it's a 1-0 advantage to TT. Even though they didn't get the kill quite on the character they would have liked, still going to be a nice advantage for them. And crucially, Kepler able to reset and grab a cull for himself. So we'll just slowly but surely stack up a gold lead in the bottom side.
It feels like a good call, right? When you're playing Sivir Leona against an Tahm Kench, you know it should be a slower pace lane, barring jungle intervention like we saw from Beichuan earlier on. So going to try and find that bit of a gold lead for himself, get to those item breakpoints a little bit faster, and find more impact on the squad. But I like we're already seeing Yaoyao starting to move around the map, get some vision around mid lane, kind of that standard play pattern we see from TT in terms of enabling Ucal. It's a push and pull, right? If you use your window bot to get vision or help mid push out, that means he will now be able to more aggressively push in his own wave and start to return the favor down towards the bottom lane.
Yeah, we'll see if he's going to be able to get that pressure going down, though, because it's one of these games where, you know, with how the series has gone, we've seen both teams managing to find early advantages in either game and then just snowballing out of control. And it feels like once one team had control, the other team just trying to find these small opportunities, but nothing more will come of it. So it's, like you say, these early game plays, trying to get pressure into these side lanes can be what sets the pace. I thought Shadow was going to go a little more aggressive there into Ucal, but just going to be here to try and help push that wave in the mid lane, help Yeji get that forced under so we can get a reset. Oh, Shadow took a cannon! What is this tax?
I can't remember who it was, but I just remember once hearing a jungler say that like his favorite thing is when a laner dies, because then he just goes and gets
Yeah,
that wave, goes and
that.
gets that juicy XP.
I think it might have been Kanavi, honestly, but I could be wrong there. I remember the interview you're talking about, though. I do remember hearing a player say that.
Yeah.
Definitely hilarious.
Definitely relatable.
Yeah. Well, not as an AD carry, it's not.
I was going to say, I also wouldn't play jungle, so not relatable for me, but like the sentiment is just such Chad energy that it's relatable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, happy that your mid laner died so that you can grab a wave of XP. It's always lovely. It's always lovely to get a bit of XP in your pocket, a bit of gold as well. Shadow now moving in. I will say, Shadow has been proactive. He may not have got any kills or anything so far, but he has been permanently in lanes this game.
And he's on the Lee Sin, right? He knows later on Beichuan's going to have a much bigger impact than him, so he's trying to make use of his spike now. But TT aren't really giving over windows. Yeji is moving up, and he has the Weaver's Wall. So TT have to be careful, but Ucal's trying to follow.
XiaXiang in trouble here. Needlework onto the wave. Remember, you can just proc your needlework now. You don't need to get the autos off in between. Not actually going to use all three on the wave, just going to use them to try and pressure. That was 1v3. XiaXiang pretty happily survives the play.
Yeah, XiaXiang able to back off quick enough. Also, LGD had in mind that Ucal was making his way over, so not wanting to over-aggress. Now going to try and find Beichuan, but it's going to end up as a 3v2 for LGD's bot lane if they don't be a little careful.
Or a 1v1 between Beichuan and JinJiao right now. Here comes Yeji, though. And Beichuan, you talked about how aggressive he has been today, and that is punished by Yeji.
Yeah, not factoring in the Weaver's Wall. Yeji able to move over faster. Heck, even than I expected from the fact that, right, they were just in topside maybe 10 seconds ago looking to make that play, but doing a nice job to make sure that Beichuan can't look for any cross-mapping or any counter-jungling coming through in the bottom side. And now Yeji having a red buff, Munchables. And everyone knows Pokemon Red was the best one. Therefore, it is a successful play from Yeji. But we'll see here. Eric hitting the Blast Plant, kind of locking Beichuan in. And then Yeji getting close enough to be able to follow up with his Weaver's Wall.
Very nicely done inside of LGD to punish the aggression from Beichuan there. And I will say, just quick point to be made here. Pokemon Yellow was actually the best Pokemon of the original set because you actually got Pikachu following you around, which you didn't get in Pokemon Red. So So, yeah, just thought I'd quickly denounce your slander live on stream to make sure everyone knows my political position on the Pokemon games.
You know what? Pikachu, overrated, outdated, and LGD, I don't know what the third word in that meme was.
Activated! Here we go, Beichuan over the wall, and big damage out from Kepler with the Boomerang Blade. LGD forced back here. Cannot continue the fight, but a Daunting Shadow comes out from Eric. A little confused by that one, because there was no one in the fight currently. Herald started Shadow with a Q onto XiaXiang. This is a 5v4 in favor of TT right now, but LGD don't look like they want to back away for now.
TT have also used every ultimate they had available, right? Yaoyao only level 5, and the other 4 ultimates got used to find that pick, so that's why LGD are feeling comfortable. But Fearness nowhere close to Mega, but still enough threat to force Ucal to flash.
Yeah, Ucal no mana as well. Eye available. Who gets it? I think it was TT. Beichuan grabs that Herald for himself and will be sacrificed by his squad. Now it's with 300 gold, maybe worth dying for, but not if your whole squad goes down. A root comes through. Fearness going under the tower. Doesn't even need to. Just slams him into the wall and takes 2 for the Herald. But Shadow, I don't think he's done just yet. Krugs will be the recompense.
Yeah, so Herald for 2 kills going over. I guess TT found a kill as well at the very start of that play, so very close trade, but Shadow's not done like you said. Oh, wait, he's done. He's done, Munchables. Thank God. Thank God he's done, because if he kept going, he'd be dead. He'd been a gray screen.
Could have got real dicey real quick. You know, the gray screen, not that big of a deal for Lee Sin, because you can't see most of the time anyway, so not a big impact. However, being dead does mean you can't play the game currently. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. LGD, though, just going to sit here in the top lane and take plate after plate after plate. They're looking for a third one, but XiaXiang moves forward, pushes them away. JinJiao trying to move and be that big brick wall for his team, but they ran out of minions, and it means that the plate will not go down in the end.
Still, LGD finding a nice advantage for themselves just off of taking these plates after the kills. Like, Ucal might be able to try and get one back in that bottom lane, but it looked like Yeji was already moving over. We're going to see a replay of how the fight happened. Again, it's a 5v4, but no ultimates available for the side of TT. So Ucal, flashing away from the seismic shove, opens up for the engage to come through from the other members. And, I mean, just getting whittled down by the poke to be able to come through. Beichuan sacrificing his life to try and allow the others to escape. But Fearness, with the flash over the wall, hits the boomerang. Root lands from Eric. So they're able to find the rest of these kills to be able to start whittling down those plates.
Yeah, I was expecting Fearness to go further in there and try and get both, but just slamming Yaoyao against the wall. Little overkill, honestly, to use the ulti there. But I like it. It was very thematic as LGD want to contest this Drake. Full control right now for TT, but a bit of damage onto Beichuan might mean that that's not the case for much longer, and TT decide to actually back away.
TT showing the respect. Fearness does have TP, so XiaXiang was having to walk down, but if he walked down, that means Fearness would just be given top lane turret for free. So in my mind, that's probably why TT opted out of the Drake, requiring XiaXiang to have to match Fearness in that top side.
Yeah, Drake started off then by LGD, so they will be able to get that first Drake of the game. Crucially, though, Herald went the way of Beichuan, so it's kind of a trade of neutral objectives here, where we have LGD leading in the Drakes, the newly buffed Drakes, whereas Beichuan getting a little bit more gold for his trouble, looking for that Herald. So a fairly even trade, I will say. The Mountain Drakes, though, up to 9% increase on resistances. So even just that one Mountain Drake feels a lot more impactful than it did previously.
Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, heck, you get 2. That's the equivalent of what 3 Drakes gave you before. Just so much, right? I definitely feel like individual Drakes have a place now, but still, with the fact that, you're right, you don't get the same Drake until the 3rd one, it feels like that is when it is more impactful to get numerous stacks up and really just get, whether it's a ton of armor or a ton of damage coming from Infernal, whatever it is, where you're really going to find that value coming through. But we can see now, TT wanting to make plays towards his top side. Both Beichuan and Yaoyao moving over to try to put pressure on Fearness.
Trying to get the pressure down onto Fearness, but I think he's going to be able to walk away. Beichuan moving over. And honestly, I think they're okay with... Oh, Shadow, you're in the wrong spot here, buddy. Tries to move forward to defend his top lane of the flash from Beichuan. There's not much follow-up from the rest of the team, though, and here comes Yeji on the Weaver's wall. The Herald in a very questionable spot right there from Beichuan. and will just be taken out by LGD. I'm not really sure what on earth went through Beichuan's mind here. The XiaXiang now trying to escape with his team. Did get one plate for their trouble, but they wanted more than one plate.
Right, I mean, for the side of TT, we saw him drop Herald before they'd known that Shadow was there, so kind of unfortunate. Tries to jump in, tries to force them out, but with Yeji able to follow up, nothing coming through. But now TT going to equalize on the bot lane, but heck, look at the bot lane vision. LGD actually have wards littered everywhere.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. And now Eric finishing off his support item. You saw the little star appear above his head. He's completed his quest. You can expect that vision control to maintain in favor of LGD. Now finishing an Umbral Glaive, so if the vision control wasn't strong enough before, it definitely is now. And JinJiao already on his Mythic as well, so that Tahm Kench going to be basically invincible on the left side.
And for LGD, I mean, that's what they want, right? When we kind of talked about how they have range advantage coming in, Taliyah, Senna, I mean, even Gnar theoretically throwing out your Qs. If you can get on an objective first and really choke TT out, that's where they're going to struggle. And furthermore, not being able to find flanks. I mean, you can't put Ucal or XiaXiang like deep into the enemy jungle if you don't have wards down, if you aren't able to get in that position. So definitely feels like this could be where LGD really start to pump things up in their favor. But this game being a lot more reminiscent to Game 2 with how close it is. But honestly, maybe even a game of its own, considering that TT always felt like they were in control of Game 2, to where this game definitely feels like a toss-up so far at the 15-minute mark.
It does, which is exciting, right? Because both games felt very one-sided. Fearness and XiaXiang all in on the top side. Needlework comes on out. Fearness about to turn mega, though. XiaXiang's in trouble. Slammed against the wall and smashed into the floor. Ucal arrives, but he's too late to the party. Can't go in onto Fearness.
The top laners have just been going back and forth from game to game, but Fearness this time around, just like Game 1, able to find the better of XiaXiang. And heck, now with that solo kill coming through, it opens up a Herald for the side of LGD.
And I will say, this blind Gwen has not been working. We saw Fearness go for the blind Gwen in game number 2, got destroyed, and now we see XiaXiang go for the blind Gwen in game number 3, and once again answered here. So not the pick here between TT and LGD. A TP though from XiaXiang as he wants to make this Gwen work after all. Shadow the target. Good little ward hop there. Big damage onto him, but it's just buying space for TT. 4 members committed for this Herald, and they will be able to grab their second Herald of the game. That's back-to-back here for TT. Yeji wants an answer, but Yaoyao flashes out.
Nice unexpected play coming from TT. I mean, the fact that XiaXiang went down, you really have no presence on the top of the map, but they still look for the TP to commit him, and Yaoyao moved over early, allowed them to get it. But LGD finding an answer of their own.
Certainly did. Root comes out to XiaXiang, but does have the Hallowed Mist to keep himself safe. Solar Flare out from Yaoyao. It's to buy space, though. Kepler on the Sivir can clear these waves so effectively. Drake up in 35 seconds here, Lyric. I feel like we need to recap where the two teams are at, because I feel like this could be a toss-up.
Yeah, we're going to have to go back to the replay first and see how this solo kill comes through. Fearness doing a great job of kiting out against XiaXiang so far. Even just face tanks that whole, like, fully stacked snip. But once the Mega Gnar comes out, able to find the ult into the wall and really lock him down. So, just XiaXiang committing a little bit.
Did you see that animation?
Yeah.
Gwen, like, sat down and then was, like, teleported into the floor. Slammed in by Fearness. Here we go. TT start the Drake up for themselves. Fearness looking good. 2-0-1. A lot of damage to the carries from LGD here. Start the play. Yeji splitting the team off. Beichuan alone, but Ucal can't quite connect onto Yeji. Tried to threaten himself, and it will be LGD deciding this isn't a play that they can make for now. Fearness still up in that top side, and it will force a TP out from Ucal.
So overall, we're seeing pretty much a turret traded for Drake. LGD also able to get a bit more standing gold on the map, considering they are also taking away camps, and TT lost wave in bot. So overall, LGD kind of trading up in terms of that. That was just TT's first dragon, right? So definitely not the end of the world for the side of LGD, and already looking for an aggressive pick.
Oh, kick against the wall here. Root goes wide for XiaXiang. No chance in the 1v3. Punished here as Yeji already onto the tower. And LGD doing a really good job actually to snowball off of picks, right? Consistently finding 1 or 2 people out of position and using that to buy advantages across the map.
Munch, I gotta tell you, TT They took down OMG. They took down FPX. They took down BLG. They took down all the teams around them that they would need to look for the playoff run. And if that becomes, again, a little, not even a little bit harder, like, sure, they won't be out if they lose to LGD here, but we've said it all split long that 8 typically is that magic number. Like, this would be rough, because if they lost here, theoretically, they would then need to beat RNG.
Yeah, I will say, it's not guaranteed that it needs to be 8. It's possible that it's 7. But that's not a position you want to be in for TT.
No.
Because then your destiny's not even in your own hands, right? You're relying on other teams losing. You're relying on fate happening to go your way. It's not where you want to be on TT now. Falling pretty dramatically behind here. 3,500 gold lead in favor of LGD. And as you say, TT would really like to get this win. They've still got RNG in their schedule. It's a tough one. LGD, on the other hand, over the moon, right? They are, you know, Destiny is not in their own hands at this point. Like, they need certain things to happen for them to still make playoffs. But the dream is technically alive. Technically, they can still make it here. As XiaXiang trading once again.
You know, they also have RNG left in their schedule. They also have top esports left in their schedule. So, their schedule's a bit rough. It's
Fearness flashes forward. He doesn't care about the schedule. All he cares about is solo kills. But oh no. Oh, Fearness knocked up now. And will be taken down. The shield not going to do nearly enough. And Beichuan grabs the kill there. That was anticlimactic to say the least.
Yeah, you can see the look on his face as well after it happened. I'm just like, man, so close to being able to work out. Fearness trying to take his destiny in his own hands with trying to carry this game for his team, but just honestly giving more breathing room over to the side of TT. TT now might be able to find a pick with numbers advantage, but they did use a lot of ults to find that kill onto Fearness in the bot side, so shouldn't be able to make too much happen. And it feels like that's how a lot of these fights or picks have been going, right? The TT blowing a lot of ultimates and not really able to find a kill, or maybe they find one pick, but then it leaves LGD in a great spot to continue on with the fight or find picks of their own.
Yeah, pressure on the top side here, but LGD will have to back away, and you can see Tahm Kench pushing the wave in the mid lane, but he'll have to back away as well. We're going to kind of reset for a moment here. Now, I want to ask a question from a coaching perspective here, because, you know, you used to coach a couple of teams around the world. I'm curious, from the perspective of, like, LGD here, where they are, you know, the playoffs run is out of their control. Do they give up? Do you think that players on LGD believe that they can make playoffs at this point? Because you coached Aurora, who finished 8th in the TCL 2018 summer. Like, at what point during the split were you guys giving up on playoffs?
So, I actually joined them a month before the split ended, and we had one game. If we lost that one game, we were out. And, you know, I feel like it's a lot on the org in terms of, like, if you as a team kind of have an idea of what's going to happen going forward. Because for LGD, I think it'd be great if it's like, hey, we have multi-year contracts with these pieces we're going to build around, and just kind of end the split strong. And you obviously want to show the best for yourself as a player anyway, right? Even if you're going to leave a team kind of going into a new year, new season. So I definitely don't think you give up. But at the same time, it's easy to know that and very hard to get brought down by negativity of losing, right? So yeah. I think it's one of those things where you try not to, but it's also very easy to get pulled in that cesspool of negativity.
Yeah, it definitely can be. So far, though, doesn't feel like LGD have been buying into that, right? Because, I mean, look at them. Look at them on the Rift right now. Look at the way that Shadow's been playing. The aggression we see out from Fearness as well. Tower TP coming in. XiaXiang on the flank as well. Beichuan trying to get into the midst of the fray. Look at the needlework damage. XiaXiang cuts through them. And Kepler on the back line with the boomerangs as well. LGD sent packing. And TT, 22 minutes in, we're going to see another Baron.
And TT, we're 3,000 gold behind before, equalizing the gold, able to get onto the Baron. And, this is going to be so hard for LGD to contest.
LGD last time decided to go for the Drake instead. This time, not so much. In they go. Fearness trying to be the frontliners. Eric has to do the damage here. 2K on the Baron. Dawning Shadow across the team. Baron taken by TT. Now it's just a 5v3. Slam against the wall as JinJiao tries to escape, but the Grey health will not save him. A Baron and a pick. TT have turned this game around.
Yeah, this is a huge momentum swing to the side of TT. now going to be up in gold, be able to pick up more items, definitely be able to get pressure on the map and start whittling down these objectives. LGD might be able to find silver lining in getting a second Drake for themselves, but TT should be able to do a lot more with this Baron than a second Drake matters for the side of LGD.
Let's take a look, though. Is the Drake taken by LGD? Oh, hang on. All in on the top side as well. XiaXiang, low on HP. The Baron minions doing a lot of work. Oh, my days. Yeji's gone. This has gone from 0 to 100. TT, they were behind. They were like 2k down. Now they're 3k up almost. This has just been a complete flip.
You know, Gwen damage will always be surprising from what we've seen XiaXiang able to do in these fights and with that kill. But TT going to be able to not only use XiaXiang's pressure, but Ucal as well to start finding picks of their own. But Fearness not actually really going to do anything.
Oh, JinJiao is caught, is going to go down. Kepler will grab himself another kill here. And, well, LGD, I think we dared to compliment them there, didn't we? And the second that we did, everything immediately fell apart.
Yeah, sorry, LGD. We didn't mean to do that to you, but still nice to see TT, when we were saying how dire it would be to lose this game, are able to bring it back. Ucal still having that that Gnar ultimate available. Even has the Zanya, so it looks like he's playing on a knife's edge a bit, but knows like if he did go golden, could buy time for the rest of his team to be able to get here. And they're just going to keep looking to pressure while they still have a minute left of this Baron.
Do you know what? It's not the only one to go golden, Lyric, because your commentary is golden. Beautiful stuff here from TT and from Jordan Lyric Corby. You know, here's your moment. It's a replay. Hit me with the analysis.
Yeah, we see a Cyclone and then a Leona. Okay, but seriously, TT find a coordinated angle coming in from both sides. And I mean, you just look at their like AoE team fighting tools, right? We have ult coming out from Leona into the Cyclone, building up for Ucal to just find a great angle to be able to go in. So, and when you have Sivir at the same time kind of free hitting on the back of that fight, it's just ridiculous. Honestly, when the Sivir changes came through, I wasn't super sold on it being all that strong because it's like, right at the end of the day, it's still a 500 range AD carry, which feels like just really hard to work within that archetype. But we've had some just insane, like, damage graphs come out from the Sivir so far in LPL.
I think specifically Sivir and Sylas is an incredibly strong combo just because of the space that these like melee mid laners buy Sivir. Like if you're playing as a follow-up carry as opposed to like you never want to be counting back as Sivir really. You want to have your team going forward so you can just follow in. Nobody can threaten you because they are under so much threat, right? I don't know if I worded that correctly, but it makes sense in my head.
You did.
And I feel like this is exactly the style of composition that TT have, right? The amount of threat that Wukong, Sylas, and Gwen are putting on the enemy team, it's impossible for anyone from LGD to threaten onto kill.
Yeah, even just like their champions as well.
Oh
my. Okay.
The observers can't even get up to the top lane in time because XiaXiang just one-shots Yeji before anyone can even look. TT, if they didn't have advantages before, they sure do now. Another tier 2 down to the bottom side. XiaXiang just getting solo kill after solo kill this game.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we've seen XiaXiang, right? XiaXiang started at the beginning of the split, but once Hoya came in, we have not seen him. I think it was like their fourth series of the split, so kind of great for him to come back in a little bit rejuvenated and show just overall a good series, considering we think back to his last game as well in the Ucal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, I think XiaXiang pissed off that he didn't get the MVP on that Ucal, and now he's doing his damnedest to get MVP in game number 3 of the series. I believe this is his second solo kill at specifically this point in the lane as well.
Yeah, goes in with the W, so doesn't take any damage coming out from Yeji. And my God, the full snip into the ultimate is just so much damage. The needlework doing so much for XiaXiang. 3 items now. Actually, 3.5. Sitting a full item and a half up. I guess just a full item considering that Fearness also having that one.
Okay, here we go. 2v1 now. Can they actually kill him, though? I'm not so sure. 3v1, in fact. 4v1, in fact.
Oh, top catch is coming as well.
The entire gang on the way! XiaXiang! He wants an MVP, and LGD are giving him it on a silver platter.
5 members committed to try to take down the Gwen. They're able to do it. It's a 1-for-1 in the end. Now even having to blow TPs. Yeji just using one to get down to the bot lane to try to respond. The pressure coming out from Ucal. TT have full control with Drake coming up in 15 seconds. XiaXiang won't be up yet, but for the fact that he is TP, I feel like even if LGD wanted to contest, TT would be able to stall long enough to get that one through. And looks like they are just going to back off and get this objective under their belts.
Yep, TT going to start grabbing those Drakes for themselves. It'll be 2 apiece once again, which has been consistently the way in this series. Although game 2 scored 3 Drakes, but then the game ended pretty sharpish from TT. This will be their second one though. A 5,000 gold lead, almost 6,000. Baron spawning again and complete control for TT.
And we're going to see here, LGD really wanting to commit for this pick. And it's actually a decent time to do it, because if you look at the minimap, like, no one on the side of TT is really pushed up too far to really capitalize on this. Does buy a lot of time just with the sustain coming through in that needlework. And Eric just so squishy, they're able to take him down so quickly.
JinJiao forced the flash as well. That's a big cooldown for the Tahm Kench. As XiaXiang just going to start this one off. Kepler moves over. Beichuan's here as well. Ucal can try and play the zoning game alongside Yaoyao as the rest of the team burns through the purple worm. It's already down to 5k. It's already going to go down long before Shadow can come in, because there's a 2v5 going on right now. Ucal survives as Shadow, now chased down by the squad, uses a stopwatch, but it ain't going to save him. XiaXiang in the meantime just one-shotting Eric once again. Look at this performance from TT. They will not lose this series. They will not have their playoff streams denied. And they will not let Eric survive.
Yeah, TT falling behind early didn't stop them from keeping this pressure up. XiaXiang specifically bringing them back into it. And TT still chasing some of these kills down. With these death timers should at the very least be able to start opening up some inhibitors and really laying this pressure on LGD, if not just end the game.
Yeah, Fearness kicked out of the play literally there. And now we go into the base. TT have enough damage to finish this one off. The death time is 5 seconds on Shadow. Maybe this is something that's turnable, but with another kill coming down, I don't think so. On to the Nexus. TT, the playoffs run continues.
An unexpected run as well. Looking back to where they started, thinking about the history of the org so far, the history of, maybe not even the history of these players, but it's just a random kind of thrown together amalgamation of players you'd really never expect to see on the same team, and how far they've been able to come together is honestly just so exciting to watch. I mean, the story of TT this split has seriously been phenomenal. That's why it would be so depressing if it got derailed and they weren't able to make playoffs like they said their goal is.
Yeah, and honestly, it feels like a playoffs team right now, despite LGD having some good early games. Wasn't quite enough. And you can see the smiles across TT's faces, right? This means a lot to them, especially after game number 1 of the series, where I started to have some questions about the expectations we should be setting for this team. That's definitely a question that still needs to be answered by TT over the course of the rest of their split, but still on track here. Still able to make playoffs and still looking to, like you say, rewrite history for this organization.
That would be really exciting, right? Like, not only having an org like V5 kind of step up this year with their new roster, like we've seen after V5 being you know, a lower tier organization, kind of barring 2020 summer, and now TT kind of doing the same, having a lot of organizations go through these shakeups. That's what makes LPL so fun, right? Just every year it feels like having a different title, different champion, different like title contenders coming through, and TT now kind of cementing themselves as one. We got on it earlier. 3 series left after this, RNG, Ultra Prime, RA. 2 of those TT go in as favorites. And then, right, I mean, heck, we've even seen RNG, like, drop crazy series before, thinking of Spring when they lost 2-0 to WE. So definitely anything is possible for TT, especially with the momentum that they have right now.
Yeah, and I feel like momentum is the name of the game for them, both outside and in-game, right? Because, yeah, they've got a bit of momentum in terms of the actual split. They're getting wins under their belt. This is, I mean, they're not on a win streak. They lost their most recent series, but, you know, it feels like beating LGD here. And with how close a lot of their series have been, there is some momentum there. But in-game as well, like, the second they take one thing, the second you give them that small window, I think the thing that sets TT apart from you know, teams like BLG, teams like IG, teams like Ultra Prime, LGD, these teams that are somewhat close to them in the standings, is TT's willingness to just go in on a play. We talked about it before. The support goes in, the rest of the team follows. And that feels consistent throughout every game you see from TT.
Yeah, it feels like there's definitely layers, right? Like, kind of layer one is getting past just being one of those, like, passive teams that just kind of slowly bleed out, and they've gotten past that. Then you get to, like, teams like IG that are aggressive but don't really bring it together. And it's like, to me, that's where TT kind of go a step above, is like, cool, you're not only very proactive and, like, willing to look for these plays and, like, have an idea of how to win and utilize your compositions. It's the fact that they do it as a unit. The fact that... Again, we're seeing that three-man core of like Yaoyao, Beichuan, and Ucal working together. That Hoya and now XiaXiang with Tahm have also kind of become more incorporated with the team. And that Kepler, like, even though Kepler's not part of that like roaming death squad, it's like Kepler is always doing his job. It's like whether it's playing in the team fight or if there's an opportunity to win out through the 2v2, it feels like these 5 players, or we'll say 6 and include Hoya, even though he didn't play today. It's like they know the game plan and are on the same page, which is great to see.
I will say I was very impressed by XiaXiang
yes.
today, because XiaXiang is a player that hasn't always had the greatest performances in the LPL, a player that sometimes left things to be desired. Today, he was aggressive. Today, he was decisive. Today, he
just look at all that
went
red.
A little too deep, but in game number 3, he certainly looked good.
Yeah, I mean, highest kill participation, damage taken, damage to gold, just across the board. XiaXiang was the difference maker for the side of TT. And like you said,